Welcome to the failed experiment.
Space. Junkyard. How humanity turned orbit into a dumping ground. Imagine this. Right now, above our heads, 128 million pieces of space debris are racing at bullet speed. That's not an exaggeration. That's a fact. And here's the terrifying part. In space, even something the size of a coin carries the energy of a hand grenade. One mistake, and it becomes a deadly projectile. Welcome to the story of how humanity turned orbit into the most dangerous junkyard in the universe. My name is Ozar, and I want to show you how a shiny little sphere, just 58 centimeters in diameter, became the beginning of a catastrophe that could forever close the doors of space to us. Right now, 6,600 tons of junk are orbiting Earth. 95 of all objects in orbit are garbage, and the number of working satellites is nearly equal to the number of debris fragments. Space has turned into a deadly roulette. Chapter 1. The Birth of the Problem, October 4, 1957. The USSR launches Sputnik 1. The world celebrates the dawn of the space age. People look up and see a shining dot in the sky. They think, that's the satellite. But it wasn't. It was the upper stage of the rocket, the very first piece of orbital junk. And then, just 2 months later, disaster. The American Vanguard TV-3 rocket explodes 2 seconds after launch. The satellite is thrown clear of the flames and continues transmitting signals as if nothing happened. Nature seemed to laugh at us. You want to play with fire? Here's the price. But the true nightmare came on June 29, 1961. The upper stage of the Transit 4A rocket exploded. In 1 second, the number of objects in orbit tripled. Space began to drown in its own debris. Chapter 2. The Nuclear Horror. Now, imagine this. A satellite falls to Earth, and it's not empty. January 24, 1978. The Soviet satellite Cosmos 954 crashes in Canada. On board, a nuclear reactor. 50 kilograms of uranium scattered across the tundra. The cleanup operation was ironically called Morning Glow, a beautiful name. In reality, radioactive hell. Then came 1979. Skylab, a 77-ton American space station, fell on Australia. The local mayor fined NASA $400 for littering. And guess what? They didn't pay until 30 years later. Space was laughing at our irresponsibility. Chapter 3. The Era of Collisions, July 24, 1996, the first confirmed space traffic accident. A French satellite collides with a rocket fragment. Speed nearly 15 kilometers per second. That's like 2 cars slamming into each other at 53,000 kilometers per hour. Imagine that impact. A month later, even worse. A Pegasus rocket explodes, creating 754 pieces of debris. The cause? A small fuel tank that heated and cooled for 2 years until it blew up like a ticking bomb. And then, 2007. China destroys its own satellite Fengyun 1C to test anti-satellite weapons. Result? Over 3,000 new fragments. One single experiment turned orbit into a minefield. Chapter 4. Doomsday. 2009. February 10th. The collision of Iridium-33 and Cosmos 2251. 2 half-ton satellites smashing into each other at 36,000 kilometers per hour. The result? 1,800 pieces of debris. That was 10 of all orbital objects at the time, and many of those fragments will keep orbiting for over a century. Yes, our great-grandchildren will still pay the price. Chapter 5. Curiosities and Horrors. But space isn't just horror. Sometimes it's absurd. 1965. Astronaut Ed White loses a glove. For a month, it orbited Earth like a tiny satellite. 2007. An astronaut drops pliers and a camera. 2008. A tool bag worth $100,000 floats away. 2017. A protective shield weighing 8 kilograms is lost. 2023. 2 female astronauts lose yet another tool bag. Funny? only until junk starts falling back down. In 2024, a piece of debris from the ISS pierced the roof of a house in Florida. It weighed just 725 grams, but it tore through the atmosphere and almost killed the homeowner. Chapter 6. The Kessler Syndrome. And now, the nightmare scenario. In 1978, scientist Donald Kessler predicted a chain reaction. One collision creates thousands of new fragments, leading to more collisions, and so on. The result? Orbit becomes an impassable cloud of shrapnel. Space becomes unusable. Computer models are terrifying. By 2055, the number of small debris fragments could increase 20-fold. The ISS has already performed 39 debris avoidance maneuvers. In 2016, a particle smaller than a human hair left a 7-millimeter chip in its window. Think about that. A hair versus steel. Astronauts live under constant threat of invisible bullets. Chapter 7. The Fight for Survival. But we're not giving up. The first orbital cleanup mission. ClearSpace 1. Cost, 86 million euros. A satellite with 4 robotic arms designed to grab junk and drag it into the atmosphere. The Japanese ADRAS-J mission has already approached a rocket fragment to within 15 meters. That's like parking 1 centimeter from a wall while driving 200 kilometers per hour. And this is only the beginning. Scientists are working on space nets and harpoons, lasers to nudge debris out of orbit, recycling robots that turn junk into fuel, and magnetic trawlers sweeping orbit clean. Humanity must become the janitor of space, or face the end. Conclusion. We're standing on the edge. In just 68 years, we've turned orbit into the most dangerous junkyard in history. Every launch today is a roll of the cosmic dice. But we still have a chance. The next 10-20 years will decide everything. Either we learn to clean up after ourselves, or we close the path to the stars forever. And remember, right now, while you're watching this video, 128 million pieces of space debris are flying above your head. Each one, a threat. Each one, a reminder of our carelessness. Space doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive. If this video made you see space differently, hit like and subscribe. In the next episode, I'll reveal the secret military satellites that are spying on us right now. See you in space.